Alright, what's up guys? So we're going to be cracking on with the advanced effects section of our Adobe Premiere Pro Masterclass, and I'm not just talking in terms of literally just like, for example, some random video effects. I'm talking about a vast variety of advanced video editing methods that are not only going to be saving you loads of time, but overall just giving you a new outlook on how to actually produce content in Adobe Premiere Pro and how to actually get around certain loopholes which in other programs are not actually available to you. But without further ado, we're going to be jumping into it. Now, first off, how do you actually go about adding just a regular effect? That's something we have not looked at yet, and you can do it in two different ways. I'll show you how. First is just standard is when we're in our editing tab over here, right? There is this whole variety of windows down here, which I'm sure you know we can actually skip through. Our project right here, our media browser, libraries, info, and effects. So that is how we would actually go about directing ourselves to the list of effects is by starting over here at project and actually clicking on effects here. Or we have the option to actually go up to the designated effects tab at the top. And when we click that, that will pop up with essentially the same window as we would have had down there, except now there's not all these other options because we have effects right here. And the one I want to focus your attention to is video effects. That's something we have yet to look into. And overall, let's start exploring how we would go about using these video effects. Well, right here is the list of them. So we have adjustments, blurs and sharpens, color corrections, channels, distorts, all this sort of different stuff, and they all serve very different purposes, not all like the same kind of use for each one of them. Now, how would we actually go about adding an effect and then adjusting it? It's extremely simple. So hypothetically speaking, say we wanted a distort. So if we wanted a distort, we could click that drop-down menu right there and say we wanted to actually bring in one of these distorts, which are all different versions of different ways they've kind of created distorts, and I might actually just want to bring in a wave warp. That's a cool one we could start actually messing with, and the way you would actually add an effect to a clip would be to click and drag it and actually just go ahead and wait until your cursor comes up with the cross right there. So you can't do it obviously there, but when we hover over that clip, that cross turns to a plus, hence letting us drag and drop that to this, and you see it it instantly pops up in our effect controls. And if you didn't notice it popped up there, I'm sure you noticed my face went a little bit crazy on the preview window here. So that is how we would know that it has been added. So how would you adjust this stuff? Same way, guys, that you would go about adjusting anything I've taught you to adjust so far, whether it be the scale, the position, the rotation, all of that is done via the parameters. And all of these here are the parameters. And likewise, with any of the stuff we showed before, you can also use keyframes to actually track these parameters. For example, hypothetically speaking, we're at 0 seconds right here. If 0 seconds, we wanted the wave height to be 10, but if we come in a little bit to, let's say 1 second, at 1 second, if we wanted that wave height to be 50, we would just change that 50 here, and because it has done a change here, it will have tracked that entire movement. And if we give this a play, it will have made a gradual increase from 10 wave height, or even better, maybe a 0 wave height, so it's just normal, and actually increasing that to, at 1 second, we have a 50 wave height. So it works the exact same as anything else would in the effect controls, and overall, you actually control these effects via the parameters and via the tweaking of the parameters. Now, I simply added a random effect to this just to actually walk through how to add an effect and then also how to adjust those effects, and that same process is a repeatable one just across the board with all these different effects. For example, if we remove that warp effect, and hypothetically speaking, guys, if I want to put a blur on there or something, we could close down the distorts, go to blur and sharpen, and let's just go ahead and actually throw in a Gaussian blur, which I really like. Let's throw that Gaussian blur in there, and that will do the exact same by popping up here, and we can then proceed to change the parameters to tweak this. So you see how this is almost creating kind of like a vignette on the side, which is something I showed you in the color correction tab. To actually stop that, you just quickly click repeat edge pixels, and it will start doing that. But that's a random example here for the blurs, and we've also just done an example for the distorts. But overall, everything is controllable via these effect parameters. On 0, obviously 0% of the effect is showing. On 1000, like this, it's 1,000% up, you know? And it is the repeatable method just like that that you would do for any number of these other effects here, and by all means, we're not going to be individually cracking into each one of these effects. What I'm actually going to do now is just step into a mini exercise to follow this one up, where we're actually going to explore how we would together go about creating a simple mirror effect, and how to actually just have maybe two heads, so a head here and a head below. And I believe we can actually go over that mirror effect in the mini exercise, and that will give you guys a nice hands-on example of how to pull off some nice effects and overall tweaking those effect parameters to your liking. Now, this clip right here, I'll give it a play after I mute that right here because I don't want to listen to that, but this is just a clip of me looking at the camera. This clip is going to be available for download in the following section, the mini exercise section, and we're going to be cracking on with the course.